Scott Walker becomes particularly dangerous in a time of global warming. And I mean that very sincerely. The Koch brothers inherited a very, very big business from their daddy. Daddy Fred made millions with Joe Stalin helping the Soviet Union develop their oil resources. He didn't like Joe Stalin. He didn't like communism. He came back to the United States after he made his fortune and helped fund the John Birch Society and raised his boys right. As rich, self-involved, narcissistic whatevers. And these guys know that their fortune, a large chunk of their fortune, depends on fossil fuels and on continuing to burn fossil fuels. And so they're funding people who are running around saying, it's like tobacco. There's no proof it causes cancer. There's no proof that fossil fuels cause global warming. We won't really know until after everybody's dead. When we're all extinct, then we'll know. Well, we're starting to know right now. This in today's Washington Post, Angela Fritz from the Capital Weather Gang. The coldest air of the season is surging south this week, leading to what could be historic cold for parts of the eastern United States. Thursday and Friday's polar outbreak could set all-time February low records from Tennessee to Virginia. All this is courtesy of a plume of not just Arctic, but Siberian air that has been trudging across the North Pole and into North America over the past week. Now, that said, where did it go? I had the Siberian. Here it is. The weather forecast right now for Zalinda, Siberia, Russia. Right? Zalinda. This is from the Weather Underground. It is 45 degrees below zero today. However, today is forecast to be much warmer than yesterday. It's 45 degrees below zero right now. It's the middle of the night right now. They're predicting that tomorrow when the sun comes out, it's going to get up to 23 degrees below zero Fahrenheit. It's astonishing. So that air did not used to come into North America, or at least it didn't used to come this far south. And the thing that used to prevent it from coming this far south was something called the jet stream. The jet stream is a river of air that circles the northern hemisphere just south of the North Pole, just south of the Arctic region, and just north of us. Basically, goes across Siberia and Canada. And it's a fairly stiff wall. I mean, it's moving 100 miles an hour and more. And there's a lot of pressure differential associated with it because there's a lot of temperature differential associated with it. It's very cold in the Arctic. It's relative to a minus 45 degree temperature. Here, it's very warm. 10, 20, 30, 40 degrees. Normally, this time of year, it'd be in the 30s or 40s. So why is it going to be 2 degrees or maybe even 2 degrees below zero tonight? Because that temperature difference between our latitudes and the Arctic latitudes has decreased because the Arctic is warming faster than we are, somewhere between 2 and 6 times faster than we are. And this has to do with a whole bunch of different variables. Part of it has to do with the loss of reflectivity of the snow ice, or of the ice, the Arctic ice. Part of it has to do with the tilt toward and away from the sun. Part of it has to do with, how much landmass there is, the rotation of the Earth, all these other things. But basically, that jet stream used to keep us from getting these polar winds, except under very, very extraordinary circumstances. Now, this is the second winter in a row that we're getting this. This is the new normal. Or it may well be the new normal. And if that's the case, we really have, I'm telling you. In our marina, I did it very gently, very carefully. 1 foot on the dock, my hands on the boat, so I've got something to hang on to, and 1 foot on the ice between the dock and the boat. And then I just slowly moved all my weight onto that 1 foot on the ice. The ice didn't even creak. I got 3 inches of ice all around the boat right now. It's like everything. The river is frozen all the way across. This, it happens from time to time. But this is nuts. And the Koch brothers want to put up a guy, Scott Walker, who will openly proclaim global warming is not a concern of his because his patrons are oil billionaires. This is not how democracy should work. This is not how a country should work. We shouldn't be saying, oh, who's going to be the candidate? Oh, it's going to depend on who's got the most money. The Democratic side, Hillary Clinton's got the most money. On the Republican side, Scott Walker probably is going to have the most money because he's got the Koch brothers behind him. And we sit around and complain about other countries where, like in China, for example, in Hong Kong. The protesters in Hong Kong, you know what they're protesting over? They don't want the Communist Party to be picking who the candidates are for mayor of Hong Kong or governor of Hong Kong. They want to be able to pick that person themselves independent of a political party. You can't do that in the United States. It's amazing.